Hello everyone, and welcome to our podcast, the Expat Career and Lifestyle Podcast. This is Dominika Miernik, your host, and today I have a very special guest with me, Janeen Sonsie. She's an international speaker, intuitive coach, and also insightful author. She's from Australia, but she has moved to Nice, so France, almost 1 year ago. And today with Janeen, we are going to speak about how not to be isolated and living your best expat life abroad. So welcome, Janeen. Thank you for being with us today. And please tell us more about you, about your journey, and what are you doing?
All right, great. Hi, Dominika. Thank you for having me, and hi to everybody else. As Dominika just said, I am Australian, and I wanted to live in France for like half my life, which is sort of 30 years, but don't tell anyone. But I'd lived in England when I was in my 20s, and I just loved France and always wanted to come back and live there. But I went back to Australia to settle down and buy a house and do all the normal things that people do when they settle down in their 30s. And then my marriage ended in my late 30s, and I still had this yearning to live in France. Things were going pretty well for me for a while. I was, consulting and traveling all around Asia Pacific and delivering workshops. But then things started to go downhill, and mostly with my business and just earning an income. And it felt like I was hitting my head against a brick wall, and that I just constantly came up against dead ends. And so I went to an intuitive reader.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, my desire, my plan to live in France it'd been my 5-year plan for the last 10 years. And so I went to this channeled reader, and I said to him, what's my problem? What's my block? Why can't I get ahead with what I want to do? And he said, so what do you want to do? And I said, I want to help people live a more fulfilling life. And he said to me, well, how well are you doing that yourself? I went, well, pretty crappily, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, our purpose in life is not to help others. I went, what? I've just done 20 years of personal development where that's what they told me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, our purpose in life is to live the happiest life we can for ourselves. And so I went, well, if that's the case, I may as well just sell everything up and go and follow my dream and move to France. So I did. On that day, I made the decision and then put everything in place to plan it and to move. And my first step after selling my house was to come to France for 3 months, which was all I could come on a tourist visa,
Mm-hmm.
and learn French. And I had a friend from Chicago, a Facebook friend, never met her. But after I made my decision, I started seeing all these photos of her in Nice. And I said, hey, Corinne, what's happening? Like, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I've made the sea change and I've moved to Nice to live. And I went, wow, I'm coming to France to live too. And then I talked about what I was doing, and she said, well, why don't you come to Nice? And I went, okay, can't think of any good reason. And always good to move to a place where you at least know one person, or at least sort of know her virtually online. And so that was great. So that's why I came to Nice for those 3 months. And then I decided that, well, I sort of knew the area of Nice. It wasn't my favorite area. I don't love Nice, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I really love the southwest of France, in the Dordogne and the Bordeaux, Bergerac area. But all the reports I've heard about that is that it's so dead in winter and so wet and so cold. Bordeaux, not necessarily, but inland a bit. And I thought, okay, well, Nice seems to have a lot happening. The whole Côte d'Azur has a lot happening. And meanwhile, I came up with, well, you know, my big question was, well, what am I going to do there? And I went, you know, well, I can't keep doing what I've been doing. And then I came up with the idea with a friend, actually, to create something that was support women, expat women in particular, in France. And that's how my group, the Expat Women in France group on Facebook, started. And my plan with that is I'm building it into a business. I mean, at the moment, we've got over 1,000, getting up towards 1,100 women in the group, Expat Women in France. And I only really started it in June last year. So it's growing phenomenally. And it's all about community support and socializing. So, and connection. Community and connection are the main ones. But also, you know, providing support for each other, because we're all in the same boat. And so I'm building that into a business, and I will make it into a paid membership business called Club MojoCircle, and deliver lots of value to everyone, to all the women, to join this group and become part of a fabulous supportive community.
Wonderful, wonderful. So congratulations on taking this decision and changing your life completely, moving from Australia to France, and also for starting the support group and your own business. So, like, based on those past months or this past year, like living this international life, this French life, let's say, what has been like the biggest challenge for you, and how did you overcome it?
That is, without a doubt, finding a rental place in France. It is the biggest challenge for everyone who arrives here, and it's a big challenge for many reasons. But if you don't have a job in France paid by a French company with a French employment contract, then they're not interested in even letting you look at their apartments. And it didn't matter whether we went through an agent or, you know, direct to the person who owned, to the owner. And it took a while. It took us 5 months to find something. I was with my partner at the time. And the reason is that the French law protects the renter more than it does the owner. And so it can, if someone doesn't pay their rent, it can take an owner 18 months to kick them out of their apartment. So they're really paranoid, like really paranoid. And if someone doesn't have a contract, the reason they want an employment contract is so that they can get insurance, so that if you don't pay the rent, the insurance company will cover it. And how I got around that was it took a lot of learning. It was sort of like every time we went and looked at a place and liked it, we found out a little bit more about what we had to provide. And seriously, there is a whole portfolio of information you need to provide to rent a property in France. And I'm actually writing a blog about it at the moment on my other website, which is JaneensSonsie.com. And you have to spell my name right for that, but we'll cover that later. And so it's very involved, and it may have taken a few fabrications of the truth, because sometimes what the French ask for isn't even possible. And so you sort of have to work it. You have to work things to make them work for you. And in the end, I found out about what we needed was a caution bancaire. And that is where I put, actually, it was 15 months worth of rent into a bank account with a bank that then has a title on it for the owner of my property. So if I don't pay my rent, they can make a claim on that account. So it's 15 months of rent that I'm basically not getting any interest on and cannot access. And I had to provide upfront and then still pay rent on top of that. So big challenge, but I am so happy with the property I got in the end. It's in a village called Vence, which is about 20 minutes inland from Nice airport. And I have the most magnificent view, and I'm really happy. So all's well at the end as well.
Yeah, so well done, like, because there is like a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of documentation and rules that you need to know, even like before moving to France. So I am here like for short time, so it's completely different for me. My situation is a little bit different because it's like a more digital nomad experience. But if you are moving like you, and you want to stay for a longer time, so you have to consider all those steps, and also that it's not easy. It's not even easy to find an apartment for a short time. Let's say.
No,
so
it's not, is it?
Yeah, so it's challenging, especially in South France, and especially in Nice.
On the Côte d'Azur.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so you have started this beautiful Facebook group, and also you are organizing those meetings and with expat women living in France, especially in the South France. So because I think this is like a great opportunity to connect, because as we know, like being as isolated, homesick, or not having like contacts with your friends and family, this is like the primary reason that expat can feel even depressed, lonely, or because you don't know exactly what to do, or you feel that you don't have this support group around you. So this is like I think that this is like the biggest challenge of many expats, apart from like bureaucracy and other obstacles that we are facing. So what we can do about that? How to deal like with this isolation and loneliness as an expat?
So the isolation comes from an inability to communicate. So sorry. So that, if we can't communicate with other people around us, then we feel isolated. And some people feel isolated in their own home country, in their home, in a relationship. It can be really bad. It can be very isolating if you can't communicate. So the first thing to do is to find people you can communicate with. Now, if you don't speak the language, and I must admit my French is minimal at this stage, so I needed to find English-speaking groups. And Facebook is fabulous for doing that. So there's two places, Facebook and meetups. So at Facebook, there's lots of groups like mine, Expat Women in France, that provide support or answer questions or just help, where people just help each other out. And, depending on what country you're in, there's, and what country you're from sometimes, there's lots of different groups you can get. But in order to connect with people, you have to put yourself out there. It's no point just joining a group and going, oh, I still feel lonely. Because if you've never commented or never posted or never engaged with the group, you're still not going to feel connected. And it's the same with meetups. They're a great way of finding groups where you might have something in common with other people, because a lot of those meetup groups are by topic or by interest or by activity. And it's a matter of forcing yourself to get out there and engage. So really, the only way to overcome isolation is by getting out and engaging, both online and in reality in a community. And there's another group that I've used, and I've been to a few of their events, and that's Internations. And they're pretty good for expats as well. So I think, isolation is hard. It was particularly hard for me when I first came to Nice, and with Australia, basically when we're awake and working, they're asleep, and when they're up, we're asleep. So the time difference makes it really hard, and I missed so much just talking to my friends I missed the history that I had with my friends, and that, really that sense of connection. So it's a matter of, trying to keep in touch with your friends and say, hey, can we book in a chat? Because these days we've got so many medium to communicate with, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, email, God forbid we should actually use a phone and talk to someone.
Yeah.
We tend to forget to do that. I have so many conversations that are just by text, and it's like, it's nice, but it's not as good as just having a good old chat on the phone, or like we're doing in the video now. So make an effort, keep those going, get yourself out and join up groups in Meetup, join up groups on Facebook for online engagement and for meeting new friends that might be living near you. If you're a woman and living in France, join my group, Expat Women in France, for sure. And we will help you engage.
Yeah, but like on the other side, because you say that like push yourself out of your comfort zone, but it can be also challenging because maybe you are, so how to do that? How to push yourself?
I actually give a talk on how our comfort zone can be a prison. And if we're stuck, particularly if you're very introverted, and meaning that you get your energies and your motivation from inside rather than externally from other people. I'm very extroverted, so going out and mixing with other people it's not a challenge to me. It's something I really love doing. But if it is a challenge, then your comfort zone can become your prison, and you can get stuck inside your home and go, oh, I'm so depressed because I'm not meeting anyone. And my advice is feel the fear and do it anyway. So you might have fear about going out and meeting people, but what's the worst thing that can happen if you do it? The worst thing that could happen is that you don't engage with anyone and you come home and you go, not my sort of people. That's really the worst. You're not going to die. You're not going to get hurt. Nothing wrong is going to happen to you from just trying. And it's about basically putting your big girl's pants on and going, okay, I'm scared, but I'm still going to do it. And I'm going to go to that event tonight because my need to meet people is more important than my need to stay in my comfort zone. And it's outside of our comfort zone is where we get the growth as a person.
I think it's very important, this question, this what worse can happen. So this is a very important question that you can ask yourself, and do it even if you are scared going and seeing what's going to happen exactly. But another way it can be because I know that you are expert in communication also. So how to communicate maybe as an expat, because sometimes even if you are going to those meetings, even English speaking meetings or with local people, also it can be quite difficult to start the conversation or to introduce yourself. And so how to communicate as an expat, let's say?
I would say honestly and just be yourself. So be honest and be authentic. And that's why my meet and greets are so important, because I don't leave people to just, happen to start chatting to somebody. We form a circle and we go around the circle, and I ask each woman to share whatever she wants of her story. And it's when we hear other people's stories that we start to engage, that we go, oh, that's just like me. Or, oh, yes, I understand that. Or, wow, that's something I never thought of doing. So be prepared to tell your story, just be honest. And I think it's be prepared to share, because it's when we're at our most vulnerable that people will connect with us the most, because that's when we're also at our most authentic.
Yes, and I think also with sharing your story, when you are going and sharing your story or your own obstacles, you can also help others others expats or other people who are facing maybe the same challenge as you. So it's a great way to connect. And
and the other thing I would say is, and this is something I have to be careful of with myself, is don't do all the talking. I mean, if you really don't like to talk, just ask, just meet someone and say, so what's your story about how you came to live here? And let them talk. And then you'll start to feel a bit more comfortable and you'll start to engage. And everybody likes to talk about themselves when we get the chance.
Yeah, so asking questions also, this can be like a good start.
Interesting questions.
Yeah, interesting questions. Yeah.
I never ask anybody, so what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
I ask, so what do you really enjoy doing?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Like to start a conversation. Yeah.
Especially in an expat environment where everyone's sort of looking for other people who might match them as far as interests and activities and things.
Yes. So like another challenge, like also like communicating and making contacts and like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. So so what I see, and it's also like my own, it's normal experience that we can have as expats and people living abroad, is to like have this habitual negative thinking about like this negative thoughts about the new location or the city or the country that we are actually living in right now. So how to like beat this negative thinking when you are living abroad?
Yeah. I learnt when I first lived in England, and I was really struggling to settle in there. And I read an article that said the first 6 months in a new place to live are the hardest, because for the first 3 months we keep comparing what we've got now, like our new place, with what we know from our old place and what we liked. And so we go, oh, that's not as good, oh, that's not as good, oh, this is better at home. So we do that for the first 3 months. Generally for the second 3 months we start to say, oh yeah, that's pretty good here. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I don't mind that. Or, yeah, that's better than at home. So we start changing the comparison around so that we start more integrating and feeling more comfortable in our new environment. And then after 6 months is when we really start to settle in and start to enjoy. And so my advice is, well, be aware of that. You will probably go through that process and it will feel a bit negative in the first 3 months. So don't think, oh my God, I've made the wrong decision. Okay, this is what I'd expect. And then I would say, stop focusing on what you're not happy about. Focus on the good things, which is, what you start to do in the second 3 months, is focus on what you do have. So, when I first arrived and, the first 3 months was just desperately hard in trying to find a place to live. I kept telling myself that, hey, look, I'm on the Côte d'Azur, I'm living right next to the Mediterranean. I'm able to just go and walk along the beach. There's fantastic restaurants with great food, and it's not that expensive. So just keep focusing on all the things you can do and that you do like, and be grateful for what you do have rather than focusing on what you don't have.
Yeah, so it's like changing the focus of your thinking.
Absolutely. Change it round completely. So instead of going down that negative path, you go up the positive path. And you'll feel so much better for doing so.
Yeah. So how can we make our expat experience, international life, like more fulfilling and more meaningful?
I think that is all about thinking about, well, why have you come here? Why have you moved to this country? And to work out, what is your why? What do you want to get out of it? And I think a lot of people come here, especially to the Côte d'Azur, and go, well, I've come to the Côte d'Azur because it's beautiful, and I thought that would be a beautiful place to live. But but that's sort of as far as they've thought. And they get here and they go, well, what am I going to do with my life? What am I, what is there for me here? So, and they go, oh, I don't know. And to that, I would say, really do some personal development, explore what your values are, what's important to you, what do you really love doing, what are you passionate about? And if you start exploring those things, and if you want some coaching from someone like me, that's what I help people do. Help them work out, well, what's their purpose? So, and as I said at the very beginning, our purpose is to live the happiest life for ourselves. So what do you need to do that's going to make you happy?
Yes, I think like many international people, but many people, like even people who are living, who are not living abroad, have this challenge to discovering and understanding what is their purpose in life, what is their true calling or passion. So so if you can tell us like one step, because we spoke also about this during the meeting with your community here in Nice about like life purpose. So it's yes, like about discovering your values. But what other step we can take to start getting clear about our life purpose?
I think for me, the first step is understanding what your values are in life. And Dr. John DeMartini, and I can put these notes in underneath with you, Dominica, he has a really good values test or values analysis on his website. And it's free, you can use it. I found that most people really benefit from having some coaching going through it, because it can be a little hard to analyze on your own. And that's something that I do with people. But find out what your values are first, identify what's important to you in your life. And then go take a path where you get to experience and explore and, do more and put more emphasis on those values rather than the other things you might be doing in your life that really don't mean much to you.
Yes, I think this is like a very important step, understanding your values, because many people, they move abroad because they are looking for fulfillment or more meaning. But then like after 3 or 6 months, they find themselves like without any fulfillment and meaning. So like being clear exactly what is your why, what are your values, this can help you to understand exactly what is your purpose.
And a new location isn't going to magically make your life change and make you feel happy. I mean, it might for the first few weeks, but it's not magic. It's like you're still the same person even though you're in a new location. So personal development, self-development, exploring what makes you tick is a really good place to start, and that's something I can help you with.
Yeah. So like, are you living a happy life right now?
I am. Like I said, I have this website that describes the beginning of my journey of becoming an expat at JaneenSonsie.com, and it's got some blogs on it that might help with settling in. I need to write more blogs, absolutely. So, and then I've got MojoCircle.com, which is the Club MojoCircle site, which is still being in development. And so on my website, on Facebook, as well as Expat Women in France, I have Living the Vision with Janeen Sonsie. That's basically where and you're welcome to join if you want to follow my journey. And that's basically where I post all of the photos of my travels, food. I love food. So you'll see lots of photos of beautiful restaurant meals, maybe sometimes the ones that I cook as well. And what was your question? I got distracted.
Yeah. I was asking if you are like living a happy life.
That's right. I'm living a happy life.
Happy life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, since coming here, so in the last 14 months now, my partner was here for the first sort of until last week actually, and now he's had to go back to Australia. But we've done a road trip sort of around the south of France and into Spain, and we've done another road trip to Italy and another one up to Switzerland. We've been up to Paris for a weekend. It's all, for Europeans, that doesn't sound like much. Oh yes, so you went to another country. But for an Australian or even American, it's like, oh, wow, all those other countries, like Italy is an hour's drive away, except not much good at the moment with the coronavirus. All the borders are closed, so don't go there, not at the moment. So, but yes, it's get out and do things, be active, make the most of living in your new environment and explore.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us and your expertise. So you have mentioned your website, so I will put all the links with the show notes also, so people can get and connect with you. And I know also that you have a fantastic free gift for our listeners. So tell us more about that.
Okay, then. So as you mentioned earlier, communication is my thing, and I have written a book, and it is called "Get the Balls to Get Real." 5 authentic strategies to be a great communicator. So, and I will shouldn't cover my own face up there, should I? You can see me anyway. I will send a copy of that to the first person who requests it, and also give them a free 1-hour coaching session. And then so that's for the first person, and to anyone else, I'd be happy to sell you the book, no problems. It's also on Amazon. But I will offer a 30-minute coaching session for free if they sign up and use the words expat women with Janeen Sonsie.
Okay, and they can contact you via your website, via the contact page.
Yes, if you come in on either of the websites, janeensonsie.com or mojocircle.com, just send a contact form, then mention free session for expat women, and I'll also talk to men. It's okay. I won't cut you out.
We are not cutting men.
And we'll put the links below. No problem.
Perfect, fantastic. So thank you once again, and thank you very much for sharing those fantastic gifts. Congratulations, your websites are amazing. I saw the beautiful pictures. So well done. And thank you very much for everyone who is listening to this podcast or watching the video version. Please tell us what are your learning points, what actions are you going to take after this interview, and go and grab the free gifts from Janeen. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you too for the opportunity, and thanks everyone for listening and watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.
You're welcome. So thank you very much, and bye.
Thank you.